Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. I've got this card for you today using the new, well not new, but using one of the current stamp sets in the Stampin' Up catalogue sitting here. Now the main purpose of the video today is just to show you and introduce you to their new alcohol markers, Stampin' Up Stampin' Blends, and just how easy they are to use. And also I purchased myself a Brayer CM350 scan and cut, and now I can cut out images like these that don't have framelits with them. So I basically no longer need to purchase framelits because I use the scan and cut, which has opened the doors so much more for me to do more creating, because I used to do a lot of fussy cutting, but the machine is just wonderful. And hopefully in later videos I might be able to introduce you to that machine. Just have to rearrange my craft room a bit to be able to do that, so that's a little bit down the track. But just so you know that I haven't sat here with a pair of scissors and done this and this, and that's why I'm going to be starting doing a few more cards, so with some more techniques, so it adds a lot more interest to your card. Okay, so let's get started straight away. So this is the stamp set we're using, which is sitting here, one of my favorites. Okay, and the stamping pads that I use when I'm stamping with my Misty are the VersaFine little 1-inch cubes. I find they're really good to use when I'm using my Misty because of their size, and I'm really hoping Stampin' Up bring out something more of this size, because as I travel with my husband in our motorhome from time to time, these are just great to take with me, and even the Stampin' Up blends will be definitely coming with me. So basically when I'm colouring with the Stampin' Blends, I stamp in this VersaFine Onyx Black, but they do have other colours that you can stamp in too. Now I use the Bristol watercolour. It's a smooth watercolour paper that I use, and if I use the VersaFine Onyx Black, it doesn't bleed using the Stampin' Blend markers. So that's just an interesting thing for you. Stampin' Up do recommend you use Memento ink, but I've been using my VersaFine and I haven't had any bleeds at all. So it's just a little bit of information for you. So to start with, on this, as you can see on this card, all this background has been sponged. So to do that, I used the Stampin' Up sponge brayer. Now I'm not going to do it all today because I pre-did it just to save some time, but I recommend that when you're doing the background like this, I use shimmery white cardstock. I don't know if it's because it's got the little glittery bits in the cardstock, but it seems to be able to give me a really nice smooth finish, rather than using, I've tried using the daubers and the Stampin' Up and the sponges, and I just can't get a really nice finish like this. So when you're sponging, doing this background, it's best if your ink pads aren't really juicy, but if they are, all you have to do is, when you're picking up your ink, if they're too juicy, just do a couple of strokes on your grid paper before going onto your piece of shimmery white to do your background. Now my favourite colours that I like to use for my background. Soft sky at the top here, a hint of pink pirouette going through the middle, and then at the bottom pear pizzazz. So just quickly, for those that haven't seen me do a background, I'm just going to show you with the soft sky. Now when you're picking up your ink, and as I said, it's best it's not to be too juicy, you just need to do it in one direction. Don't go backwards and forwards, just go in one direction. And you'll think that you're not picking up any ink on this sponge brayer, but you certainly are. So if that was too inky, I need to re-ink this one, but I wanted to do my background first. If that was too inky, I would just do a couple of strokes on here before putting it onto my shimmery white. So as I said, we just sponge it up like that. And then it's best to have patience when you're doing this technique. So, you know, slow is good. So that's why I did the background off camera. And then you just apply it straight in one direction, no backwards and forwards, because you'll end up with lines. So you can see, even though I've done the background, it's not going to hurt it by me going over it and adding a bit more colour. And then when you add the pink pirouette in the middle, what I did was I did soft sky over the whole thing, and then I put the pink pirouette on, and then I put the pear pizzazz, but I felt there was too much pink pirouette, so I just went straight back into my soft sky, and I just went directly over the pink pirouette, and until it wasn't such a strong pink colour, so it just had that tinge of pink going through it. Okay, now my pink pirouette was too juicy, so when I added up the ink with the pink pirouette, I just did a couple of strokes on my grid paper, and then I went across the pink where I wanted the pink pirouette. And then, so don't be scared, like when you're doing the soft sky, to come down over the pink pirouette a little bit, and the same with the pear pizzazz. Don't be scared to come up over the pink pirouette, because you want those three colours to blend in with each other, so it looks so smooth and a lovely blended finish. Okay, so I hope that helps those that haven't seen me do that before. Okay, so we'll set that aside, and what we're going to colour first is the swing. So I have pre-coloured some of them. I'll just quickly show you. I've done the cushions, so using the blends, the Stampin' Up blends, this is the light rich raspberry, and you hardly have to touch it to fill in those little incy wincy little patterns. And then I took the light smoky slate and just did in behind there. Then on this one I've just used the light and the dark old olive, and I've added a little bit of Winker Stella clear, and then added my jewel rhinestone in the middle. And then with this one I used the dark rich raspberry blend just on that big flower and the little flower. Then I used my old olive blend, and I just did the big leaves. There's two big leaves there, and then there's 1, 2, 3 branches. And then these little round fellows here, I did them in pumpkin pie. Sorry if you can't see that. Pink, yeah. So these little fellows I did in pumpkin pie. And then in the background I just used just went over the background with Daffodil Delight. So that's our cushions all done. Not sure if we'll use them all, but we'll just see how we go. So we don't want to lose anything. And then with the cat, what I did, I went all over her with ivory. This is all with the Stampin' Up blends with ivory, and then I came in with the bronze, and then I shaded it out with the ivory, which I'll show you the dog. I haven't coloured the dog, so I'll show you the dog. And then these real tiny little birds, what I did, I stamped them in the VersaFine toffee colour, and then I just, in the toffee colour, and then I just took the ivory blend and I used the brush end, so that's the brush end, and I just very lightly went over the bird. So you can see I'm hardly touching it, and there were two. So I just went very lightly over those. So every time you go over it's going to be darker. So that one's a bit darker, because these little images, they're just too small for you to be doing like blending and everything. So that's just a trick there. So we're going to start with the swing that I've cut out. So I'm going to start off by putting a base of ivory. Now the swings that come up here, I will use the nib end. So that's that end. That's the nib end. So it's very fine, and you just take your time. You just use the nib, and I just go just wherever there's some white space where you've stamped. I'm just going to do the nib. So back down. You just do it lightly, and if you've got a steady hand, but don't use the brush end to do this fine work. You just use the nib end. So I'm just going to turn it round and just do this side. So I'm just looking up at the camera to make sure that I'm not blocking what I'm doing. So we're not going to be blending this part because it's not very much white in there. So that's all you need to do for there. Then you're going to just lay down a light colour of the ivory. On the ends. And we're going to be bringing in the bronze colour to highlight it. And you'll see the difference. So just that end bit too. Then I'm just going to go across the bottom underneath the cushion. We don't want to put, this is just for the seat, we don't want to put that. Actually I'll use the brush end Make sure you close your caps nice and tight. That's better. Need the brush end for that. And don't worry that if you don't colour all the white, because when you come in with the darker colour, it's going to fix it all up very nicely for you. So we're just going to, and that's why I did pre-colour a few of the items and get the base card ready, so that hopefully the video won't go too long for you. And you can always fast forward. So the slats now up the middle where your back would be, we're just going to lay down a really rough colour of ivory, because we can always come back in with the ivory after we've put the bronze down. So I'm hoping to, as we go along in later videos, I'll be able to do flowers and things for you. So just to show you how I've done them, just to show you how easy it is to use these blends. Okay, now don't worry if you go outside the lines just a little bit, because you'll need to watch that previous video, and I explained to you the colour lifter wasn't an eraser. What it is if you go outside the line, you just go down there, and what it's doing, it's pushing the colour back inside the line. It's not erasing it. Okay, so you'll need a couple of those colour lifters, and then we're going to bring in our bronze. Now we need to do some highlights on them. So in the wood grain where it's stamped, the artist has already put some wood grain black etchings there. So that's what I use as a guide, and I just put my bronze along there. And you might think it looks untidy, but you'll see once we come back in with the ivory how it looks. So down the side here, let's put a bit there, and down this side, let's put a bit there, and then up the top here. And then across the curved area at the top, there's a little bit of detail happening there. Just helps us to see where the light and shade should be. So don't leave your caps off, even if you think it's only for a couple of seconds. You don't want them drying out. So then what I'm going to do is, where I've put that bronze, I'm not putting the ivory right over the top of the bronze. I'm just going to be putting it on the very edge so that it blends it out. So I'll just turn that around. It's a bit hard for me to do upside down. So just on the very ends. And then on the edges here. Because the point is, if you go over all the bronze at the darker area, you're not blending it out, you're just making it a different colour. So you've got to just do it on the very edge so it blends out. So we'll just do this bottom bit. So if you have a look, the slats that go up here, I've only put the ivory on, but you can see like on the top of the seat and on the bottom of the seat, after bringing the bronze in and then also bringing back the ivory colour and blending it out, hopefully you can see how that is. Now we're just going to put some detail on the slats, just where the artist has put that wood grain for me, so making it easy for me to see where I need to do some highlights. So then I'm just going to bring back the ivory and just on the edge and down the bottom I'm just going to blend that out. And you'll start to see that it's becoming a bit more detailed because it's not just one colour. Just try not to go over the whole dark colour. I'm just going to add a bit more on that end where I think it's a bit light. Now I did go outside one of the lines, so I'm just going to grab the colour lifter again. Just there, I just went outside, so I'm just going to put that down there, and that's just going to push the colour back for me. So that's your seat done. That's how easy it is. Okay, so we'll set that aside. That's ready for our card, and then we'll do the two little pots. So I'm going to do those using the Bermuda Bay blends. So I'm going to take the light Bermuda Bay first and just lay down a colour of the light. Now when you're doing a plant pot, it's got like a curve on the side, so try and just flick it round on the side. and then at the top so you can see how easy it is to lay down those colours. And then we're just going to go round, curved around, because when we bring the dark Bermuda Bay in, it's more important that we do the curves then, because we're going to be adding some highlights. So just at the top, and I'm hardly touching this really, I'm just letting the pen do, letting the marker do what it wants to do. So I'm going to pop my lid back on, bring in the darker colour, or the darker blend of Bermuda Bay, and where the artist has put curves on those two sides, I'm going to put a thick piece of thick line there, so that when I bring in the lighter one I can blend that out and just across the top of the pot. So I'm going to do the same here, across the top of the pot, and then just where the artist has put those rounded sort of to give the pot shape. They've even done a little bit down the bottom there of the pot that you can do. So we'll put that one away, and then we'll bring back the light one. And you can go back, keep going back in until you're happy with the blend, but I'm just doing it quickly today just to show you how easy it is. So I'm just on the edge here, I'm just blending out where I put that darker bit. And hopefully I'll just quickly show you the difference. I can show you. So this one I've blended and this one I haven't. So you can see I haven't blended that one and this one I have. Okay, so we'll just quickly blend that one out. On a bigger flower it'd be a different process altogether, so we'll put those away. Then we're just going to bring in some Daffodil Delight. So I might just bring in the dark Daffodil Delight, because these are such tiny flowers. Let's bring you down a little bit. So I'm just going to, I'm still using the brush end, and I'm just going to quickly just put a bit of dab on the big flowers. So there's no blending because they're so tiny and you're hardly touching them. And just on the bigger flowers. So then we'll switch and do this one. So So that's all we need to do there, and then we're just going to get the old olive, which I'll take the darker one, and I'm just going to use the nib end this time, because they're just such small leaves and all you have to do is hardly touch it. So we just do all these little leaves. You just got to have a very light hand because they are only very tiny. But that's the good thing about having the nib end. And just the other one. Just hardly touching them, using the nib end. So all I'm really doing is that. Okay, so you can see how easy these are. So you can understand why I coloured some of it before coming on camera, because it would have taken far too long. Just noticed I missed a couple of leaves there, and I missed just a little flower there, and one over there. And I'm just going to grab the dark Calypso Coral, and I'm using the brush end, and I'm just going to quickly do these little flowers here. Hardly touching them. You could even use the nib end for these. It's just adding a little bit of colour in the pot. I find it very soothing and just really enjoy colouring with them. So that's that. So I'll put the Calypso Coral one back. So that's our pots. We've got our cushions. We've got our pussycat. And we've got our two little birds. So we've only just got to do the, what I did forget on our swing we've got to do the cushion, which I'm going to do in pumpkin pie. So I'm just going to very quickly just put some light colour, the light pumpkin pie, down. And you can see how quick that was. And then some across the front of the cushion. Like that. Then bring in the darker, and I'm just going to it's just like little strokes. Oh sorry, I'm off camera. Just little strokes like that. That's all I'm doing on this cushion. And I don't even think I'll bring in the light one. We just don't want the cushion blending in too much with the, so it looks the same colour as the seat. So, you know, you could have had a Bermuda Bay cushion like I did on my first card. So I'm just adding that dark colour across the front of the cushion. Because I really want that to look like the cushion and not the wooden seat. So that's that. Then we're going to do, now we've got the dog, which we're going to do in Smoky Slate. So I'm just taking the light and I'm just laying down, I'll just add a little bit. So I'm just laying down the light colour just over the whole dog. And once you've started to use them for a while, if you know, don't get in the habit of colouring them in like a pencil. They're not to be coloured like that. You just, if you can do a flicking motion, and you'll get used to them as you use them more and more. As I said before, I had the blendabilities, so you know they're very similar, but I think they're a lot better than the blendabilities. So if you liked the blendabilities, you'll love these. So that's layered. Just put down the light colour there. Then I'm just going to put some highlights like on his hind leg, and I'm going to do it quite thickly because I want to blend that out. And on the little parts that I want to blend, I'm just dotting them in, just down the front of his face. Just to add a little bit of blend so he doesn't look straight in colour. So then I'll just do down his back a little bit. Okay. Then we'll bring in the light one again, and I'll do his hind leg. So I've got that quite thick, so I'm just going to go right on the edge and just blend that out. sorry, don't mean to go off camera, it's a bit hard to watch the camera sometimes. So that's our little doggy, as quick as that. And then lastly, we've just got the little basket that our cat's going to be in. Now, that's the nib end and I want the brush end to start with. So I'm just going to go over the whole basket in light, and I'm going to sit my cat inside there, and I'll show you how. So it's a bit of a trick, so you don't have to mask to make the cat look like it's sitting in if you've cut it out like I have. So that's the light. Then with the dark, the basket has some dark areas up there, and I'm not worried about doing in there because that's where my cat's gonna sit. So the little straw bits has like a curved edge, so what I do is I just do about every second one, or just where you want to add some light and shade. So you wouldn't do every single one, just where you want to have it. It's a bit dark down there. And that's a bit, needs a bit of shading around the curved areas there. And then just bring in the light one, and I'm just going to flick the end of that out. And just right at the bottom, just checking that you can see. So just where I haven't put the dark shade on the straw at the front, I'm just adding a little bit more. So hopefully you can see that that has some light and shade on it. Okay, so we've coloured everything, so now we want to put our card together. So what I'm going to do is make sure I've got my card up the right way, and we're just going to, actually we'll put the, you've got to position the swing where you want it. So I think I want mine about there, because what you've got to think of, you've got two pots, and actually what I'll do is glue down those pots first. This is where it comes into where you want everything to sit when you're creating a scene. So I'm going to do, I'm just using the multi-purpose glue, starting off in the middle and just going out a little bit. So I'm going to just pop that as far down the bottom as I can. And then with this one, it's a good thing about the multi-purpose glue, you can just move it for a little minute so it's nice and straight. So you've got your 2 pots there. So on the swing here, what I'm going to do, I think, is I'll just see if I'm going to put this one, this cushion here. Just got to work out where you want your cushions. So if I had that one, so you want your cushion, this long cushion, to sit at the top of your piece of cushion, at the top of it. So because you're going to put your dog, well, I'm going to put my dog on here. And then if we were going to use this one, we could slide it so what I think I'll do is put a bit of, I'll just put my glue so it doesn't clog up, grab my tear and tape, and we're just putting everything in place now. So I want the dog to sit so so it looks like he's actually right on the edge of this cushion. He's curled up like that. And then I might be able to pop this one behind him like that. So I want a piece of tear and tape on the back of there. Just trying to make it look a bit different to the first card. So we haven't got all the cushions in the same spot. Just press him down. So it's like that. So then just a piece of tear and tape on the back of the long cushion. Now I'm keeping that towards the top of the cushion. And just then I can push the dog back down so you can see it's coming together like that. And then I thought you can either put this one, because it doesn't matter if it's on the because the dog's nowhere near down here, we could have the cushion so what I might do is just pull that up a little bit. A bit of tear and tape on the back, because a little bit of tear and tape goes a long way. It's not going to come up once we've put this on. Okay, I'm just going to push that down. Now on the back of this, prior to coming on, I put some pieces of adhesive foam strips, which you can get from Stampin Up, which are fabulous for these narrow spots. And I'm just going to peel off the backing, and this is going to make my swing sit right up and pop off the card. And I'm just going to add some dimensionals along the bottom. And just a couple more across the top. And tweezers, just press down in the middle. And it makes it very easy just to peel the backing off those dimensionals. So I hope you'll give this a try, and you've seen how easy it is to colour with how easy it's been to colour with the new Stampin Up blends. So I just want this, and yes, I know I'm going above the card, so I want it to go to about there, and just press down there. So what I want to do then, what I do is turn it over and just snip off those two top bits, and that way you have a really nice neat finish of your swing coming up the top. And we just need to press all that down. And then I'm just going to, my two little birdies that are here, I haven't forgotten about them. So just going to put real little bit of, so it doesn't ooze out everywhere. Like that. And I'm going to put that one just on the back of the swing. And this one, spread that glue out a little bit. Just put a little bit more. And have him looking down. He's landed on top of the swing. like that. Now, as I told you, I was going to show you a trick I did with, not really a trick, but we coloured the cat. So what I did, I took my very sharp knife, craft knife, and I made a slit all along there. So then I can just slip my cat in. You don't want him to slip in too far, and then you're just going to position him so it looks like he's sitting in his basket. So I've already put a piece of tear and tape on the back of him, so take that off, and just pop him in there. And I do apologise if the video's gone too long for you, but I really wanted to show you how to create a scene and how to use the Stampin' Blends all in one video. So, and I did do as much as preparation beforehand as I could. But I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you'll give it a try yourself. It's a well worth stamp set to have. So I'm just going to put the cat, actually I shouldn't have put tear and tape on there, I should have put, because you want him, because the swing is up on foam, you want him to be up on foam. So it gives the illusion that he's sitting under the swing. I was just getting carried away with myself there. And then it's just a matter of us gluing that whole piece onto the early espresso. So just put him there. Like that. And then we're just going to get the multi-purpose liquid glue and just put this whole piece on the front of your card. So I would appreciate you subscribing to my channel and giving me a thumbs up. It does help me to stay on YouTube and be able to share all these different things with you, which I really enjoy doing. So we've just got the little flower pot inside the card, and now all we need to do, don't want it upside down, all we need to do now is just pop him on there. And I would recommend you do use multi-purpose liquid glue to do this, because you want it perfectly straight. So once it's, just make sure it's on the corners. And one last thing is we're just going to pop happy birthday to a special girl. This isn't a Stampin' Up sentiment. This is from an Australian company in Australia called Kazaz. They have some lovely sentiments. But the stamp set is from Stampin' Up, called Sitting Here. So then we're just going to position that in the center, which I have stamped previously, and then I've cut it out with the Stampin' Up layering ovals, the scalloped one, as you can see. So that's our card for today. And once again, I apologise if it's gone too long for you, but that is this is the original one. I'll just zoom out. This is the original one that I showed you at the beginning, and this is the one that we've done today in the tutorial. So I won't keep talking. Until next time, happy crafting.